guys, welcome to Happywax TV.
Hello.
Another episode of Let's Talk Horror. We have
Axmaster. Dr. Professor.
Dr. Professor.
And Tom Mysterio.
And me. And tonight, tonight we are talking about movies that scared us. Not the scariest movies of all time, because it's just the movies that did something to us that we brought home with us or made us run up the stairs when we were kids or something of that nature. But it's our movies. The one movie we can. Oh, sorry, you were gonna say something.
I'm just saying cheers to episode number 3.
Oh, cheers! Yeah, all right. I got the big jug.
I've got the Smirnoff. I'm the only alcoholic here. I got the Smirnoff Black Cherry.
Well, we don't
soda.
know what's in here.
Oh, that's correct. Yeah.
This could not be water.
Could be vodka. So that is delicious. So we're gonna the movies that scared us.
So,
and
why don't we clear the air first off?
Yes.
There's one movie in particular that
pretty much scared everybody.
I believe we're all in agreement on.
Yes.
So
Exorcist. Yes. So
The Exorcist.
The Exorcist.
Yeah. So
The original, no sequel, no prequel, no TV show.
It's a no-brainer. That one's got to be
the original.
The first time you saw it, the second time you saw it, the 20th time you saw it.
You still you know what? I saw it in Toronto when they played it. It was at I think it was the Broadway Theater. I might be mixing that up with the Hamilton Theater, the name, but it was an old theater that used to be an actual theater, for plays and whatnot. Yep. And it was converted to a movie theater, and it had the red velvet curtains. It had the black velvet around everything, so you couldn't see the screen or anything like that. And it would have the nice angled back seats. It was a opulent theater, and we watched it, and it was the first time they had the new material in that with the spider crawl and all that stuff. There was 4 of us. We watched it, and we were all gripping our seats. We were like, "Oh my god!" Because you just there were things that
There it is in massive big screen.
Yeah. I remember the first I remember never noticing the one scene in the movie, and it freaked me out even as an adult, where I believe it was the kitchen. They were doing a panning shot. There's a kitchen, and the face just kind of appears.
Yeah. That was an add-on too.
Yeah, that was an add-on.
Yeah, because I remember when you and I went to see it, when they put the additional footage in, and you and I went and saw it, and that was with the spider crawl, and then the face, and I think I even said to you, because it scared me, and I was like, "Fuck, I never seen that before," and it was so it was I never even knew that was in there.
I didn't know that was an add-on because Heather had done a painting of
the spider crawl itself was rather disturbing. And I can imagine. Can you imagine if that had made it into the film in 1973? People would have just
that was the thing. They said the stuff that was taken out was too disturbing for the audiences, which
I get
we
it.
love.
Yeah, man.
Too disturbing for audiences.
That's crazy. So I remember. Okay, so I remember. I might as well talk about The Exorcist. So I remember when I first saw it. I think I was a kid. I can't remember how old I was, but I was I don't even think I was. When did it come out?
73.
73. So I think I saw it on TV. In fact, I know I saw it on TV because it was when we lived in our old house on Don Drive.
Oh yeah.
And my dad was watching it in his room, and I couldn't sleep that night. And I went in and watched it, laid down beside him, because sometimes I'd sleep in my parents' bed and I'd watch Star Trek with my dad or something. I thought it was cool, late night I'm watching. So he didn't really say anything because I don't know if he did it on purpose or whatever, but good for him if he did. But the first scene when I walked in was when she's standing at the party and she pisses herself on the floor, and I didn't really know what that was or what's going on. And then I got watching it, and then the bed, and I screamed. I was like, "Fuck, I'm done." So he put me to bed, and that was it. So I had nightmares for the next month. But that was the first time I saw it, and it sat with me. Even today. I'm a grown-ass man, 48 years old, and I have a hard time watching it when it's on TV just because it just freaks me out so fucking much. And you can almost recite every line for line, and it's to sit there and watch it by myself.
Well, we had the rec room, the rec room at our old house, and so I was forbidden to watch movies like that, but nobody ever came down and checked. So of course I was watching this thing, right?
Yeah.
I was probably about maybe 9 or 10. And that's when I watched it on TV in its entirety. And I remember, I went to the fruit cellar had all the lights on, got a couple pops, like a couple, because I didn't want to get back out because this movie was really freaking me out already. Like it was already starting off weird, with all, like even just when you're a kid in 1979, and there's this little idol that comes out of the tomb, and it's all that weird, like that just freaks the shit right out. Like people now don't get how freaky satanic things were in the 1970s and early 80s, because that was like the fuck. So, and then I remember sitting and watching it, just like gripping the red chair. Remember the red swivelly chair down there? I couldn't get out of that chair probably for the entire time, and it was like I had to do the run, I had to do the run to the stairs and the run to, it's like brutal. So.
It's so funny you say that, the kids nowadays, because Spencer, first of all, my son, and then even Sophia, both their rooms are in the basement, right? And they watch that movie, and they laugh at it. And I'm thinking, like, what the fuck is wrong with you? How is this not? Why are you not running up the stairs screaming at the top of you like I did when I was a kid?
Because kids don't go to Sunday school and they don't have this fear of the devil. You know what I mean? The devil was a huge thing in movies, right?
Yeah. And as you mentioned, in the late 70s and early 80s, I've actually, as an adult, watched things and they reference back to that time, and it was like the media craze. It wasn't cults and death things. It was Satanism, satanic rictuals, and if someone was missing,
Satanists,
everywhere, and
like
like I grew up in a Roman Catholic household, I suppose. My family, and extended family, and all that were very, Catholics, Catholics, as I like to call them, and so anything when you heard things like the devil, it was bad news. It was bad news, like. The devil is bad.
Like even in music, right? Like Running with the Devil, Van Halen, or Highway to Hell, or Hell's Bells. All that kind of stuff was like, whoa, I shouldn't be listening to this.
Well, I remember there was a poster at it was the Max Milk Plaza in Oakville, and they opened a video store there, and there was a poster for AC/DC.
Oh.
And it had some weird like a demon baby or something on it.
Oh, yeah.
And my parents were like, don't you ever listen to that devil music. And it was just a different time. Now it's, the devil's almost, he's with us everywhere.
I honestly think
it's not a shocker.
There's just as many people that don't believe in
the devil,
and as they do, you know what I mean? But back in the day, it was like,
I don't know. Like I think somebody that's really done a good job with demons and devils is James Wan.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's brought that. Maybe he was like us, maybe that was one of his fears, because he's brought that into his films really well. Like, what was it? Was it Annabelle or The Conjuring, where the demon's standing behind the curtain?
Oh, behind the curtain.
Was that?
Oh, that was Annabelle.
That was Annabelle.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean. And she's like, Annabelle's sitting by the curtain, and all of a sudden she rises up, and then it's the demon. Like I'm breaking out gooseflesh thinking of that, because that's a movie that scared me. Annabelle freaked me out because, again, like, I mean, for me, it goes back to when I was a kid.
Yep. I
remember having a dream that for some reason I had this dream. I was probably like 4 or 5, because we'd gone to Disney World.
Yeah.
And I remember the dream was I was walking through Disney World with my dad, and I was holding his hand, and we were walking past all these stands, and there was a stand with masks, and they were all like happy faces, but one was turned around backwards, and I could see the back of its hair, and it turned around really slow, and it was this witch, like the witch, probably from Snow White or something, because it had a big nose.
Yeah.
And I remember waking up screaming. So I've always hated hags and the devil stuff. Like hags, like I
know what movie you're gonna say next.
Dead Silence.
Yes.
like Mary Shaw. Okay, like that friggin' freaks me out. Or even the Insidious movie. Is it Insidious? With the old hag that's in that in those movies, which ends up turning out to be a cross-dressing guy. But so that kind of stuff freaks me out.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Should we go like movies that freak us out when we were kids, and movies that freak us out now?
Just anything. You know what I mean? So, like, well, let's okay. So I mean, I can tell you right now one movie that freaked me out. That's a more recent movie, and was It Follows. there was just something about that movie. During the whole fucking time I watched it, I was uneasy, and I don't know if it was. Well, I know what it was. It was because you didn't know where the demon was coming from, and I can't remember the name of the director, but he did a great job because he'd have these kids in spaces where it would be a crowd and there'd be multiple people kind of walking to, and you didn't know who it was. And then when it was revealed, you know, the demon, then I mean, it was like an old woman walking.
Kept changing.
Yeah, and it was an old woman walking down a hallway, and the one that really got me was the one scene when they're in the house and the mom's knocking on the bedroom door to get in, right? And then the scene right after that, after it goes away, and then that fucking 8-foot guy comes through the door.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy fuck. And he just passed away, actually. He was from Michigan. I can't remember what his name is, but he just passed away like last month. So sorry to hear that. I can't remember what his name is. But yeah, when he came through the door, like just that whole movie, it kind of got cheesy at the end when they tried to trap it in the pool and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm not doing a synopsis here on that movie, but that movie itself just freaked me out, and I think
it's the sense of impending,
and you
can't get away.
Yeah,
it's
that's
impending
what it
doom
is.
Coming at you all the time. That was what that movie was.
It's relentless. It doesn't run after you. It just walks.
It's just
so
walking.
You might think you've gone far enough away, and eventually it'll get to you. And even the opening scene, like I'm a big fan. I'll tell you what freaks me out in movies, and there's a few movies that have done it. Is the Exorcist, not the third one, which is in my list of scary movies about that really scared me, but I think it was the fourth one when I don't know if it was like the prequel where and then there was a scene in a tunnel, and the demon, it started off in the darkness way far away, and then it showed it running at the person, and it just kept getting closer, and it's the same thing. That's what happened in It Follows. Is this thing would start way far away, and but it was so slow. And that was the opening scene of It Follows when Buddy's got his girlfriend or whatever tied to the wheelchair, I think it was, and the creature was like out in the outside the parking lot, and then eventually it comes inside, and it just slowly, and it just takes forever. You know what I mean? And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's just that far away, and then when they're running close to you, it just freaked me out. There was a scene in Aliens too, where the alien came down the tunnel shaft, and it was kind of far away. But the freakiest one was the Exorcist prequel, and where they're in that cave and it's all dark, and it just starts off as a speck at the very far end of the cave, and then it gets bigger and bigger, and it was just freaky out. So that stuff freaks me out. But one of my is It Follows. So it's craziness.
Great movie all around.
Oh
Yeah.
I'll take it back to something a little lighter. Being in the age category, Poltergeist.
Yeah.
Actually scared me when I was a wee lad.
Yeah.
I was young enough that I was probably around the boy's age in that film, so it was very relatable.
Mm-hmm.
And it was stuff that I'd never seen in my life.
Yeah.
The freaking clown, man.
The clown.
Oh,
jeez.
The clown.
That was, clowns don't bother me. Sorry, Stephen King, I don't care about the It. The It or whatever that is. It didn't do anything for me. Sorry. But there were so many different things in there. I mean, common day things that would actually scare a child. That creepy looking tree that's knocking on the window. I get annoyed at the trees that are scratching at my house right now.
Yeah.
And I take care of those.
That movie's kind of relentless too.
Oh yeah.
Like it's nonstop once it gets going, and then there's a couple scenes where you think it might come to an end, and then it just keeps going. You know what I mean? Like I can't. It's been a while since I've seen it, but the clown scene is first, right? And then isn't it? She's in the bathtub, and you kind of think like everything's calm and cool, and then she opens the door, and the creature's in the closet. Isn't that like after that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it almost gives a sense of like the movie's kind of over and everything's happening. Like, it's just one thing after another with that movie. And
it has like a bunch of crescendos, like the bodies in the pool, all that come out of the pool.
Oh,
the
that was
coffins popping up.
great.
I mean, there's tons of scary stuff in that one too.
Did you know that they were real corpses in that pool?
And that is fucking gross.
I would have been really upset if I found out that I was swimming and eating corpse water.
That's like Day of the Dead. I mean, when they
how could that even be legal?
I know.
It was the 80s.
Yeah. Well, also Day of the Dead, that when they pulled oh fuck, what's his name? Rhodes, Captain Rhodes.
Oh, yeah.
When they pulled him apart, those are real organs. You know what I mean? Like they were pig guts that they were chewing on and stuff. And I remember when we interviewed him, he said the smell was so bad. You know what I mean? It was fucking. It was gross.
Yeah,
so,
that would be gross.
Yeah, but again, like you said, those were the '80s, and I guess if you're working on a shoestring budget, you gotta fucking do what you gotta do. So, but what's another movie that scares you?
Well, I got to go back to when I was small. I was, I was staying at my aunt's place in Strathroy, which was this big old farmhouse with a really creepy basement, and I had like a bunch of cousins, and we were watching the original House on Haunted Hill with Vincent Price.
Oh, that's a classic.
And I remember when he opened the closet, like there were skeletons in it and stuff like that, and that was freaking me. But when he opened the closet and that decapitated head was in there,
Oh yeah.
that just, I mean, I know if you watch it now, it's totally cheesy, but we're talking about what scared us.
Yep.
And I can remember vividly the scene with the skull in the closet, like the head in the closet.
Yeah.
I think that was the first time I'd ever seen the decapitation, but that was like a classic sort of horror style movie with with Vincent Price talking the weird way he talked and everything.
Yeah.
So that was definitely one that got me
Yeah.
early on. So. And then, but in a way, it kind of made you. It scared you. It scared you so much that it made you want more.
Yeah.
So that was one I got.
Well, I've got two more, and you calling House on Haunted Hill kind of cheesy from back in the day, but a movie that I brought home. I always base my movies if I bring them home with me, right? If I go to your house and watch a horror movie, and I'm looking behind me when I'm walking to the truck, and when you leave his house, it takes like a good 20 seconds to leave his back door before that porch light comes on. So I'm like, turn on for fuck's sake. Oh, there it is. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? So, I'll tell you, one of the movies I brought home from the theater, which is you watch it now and it's comical, but it was huge in the day. It was Blair Witch.
Yeah, for sure.
That movie, like, it was so funny too because I went and saw it with my girlfriend at the time, and she was like, you know what I mean? And the people behind me, the guy I remember saying is like, well, that was a piece of shit, you know what I mean? And I'm sitting there going, holy fuck, like, you know what I mean? But there was other people that got freaked out, but I mean, I had never seen anything like that. Now, I knew going into it wasn't a real story, you know what I mean? Because you just,
See,
but
that was the maker or breaker.
Yeah, that was so awesome how they did it up, though. It had its own separate, and no movie at the time really had done that, where it had its own kind of separate mini movie to make it look like it was real, you know what I mean?
I remember this guy, my friend Mike Temmerman, and I were talking at work in the cafeteria, and we were like hook, line, and sinker, like just like, this thing is real, man. I'm like, I can't wait to see this again. And this guy, I won't say his name on air in case he's watching, but he just folded his paper down and said, "Too bad they said it was fake in the paper." And he puts it back up.
I remember you telling me.
And I got so mad. We both got so mad. I fucking stood up and I said, "You're a fucking cocksucker. You're a fucking prick. I should fucking kill you, man." You know, like I got really fucking mad at him and I didn't tell my ex that it was fake, and it still freaked me out. Like I thought the ending was but it was ruined for me. But I remember when she watched that movie, at the end she started hyperventilating in the theater, and I had to tell her it's not real. Yeah. It's not real because she was so scared at the end of it because she totally thought it was real. Yeah. And it just flipped her right out.
Well, they did a great job in making that movie. Like, if all things aside, knowing it was real, knowing it wasn't, I went in knowing it wasn't real, and I watched it, and I was like, yeah, they did a really good job with that. Like, it freaked me out. Yeah. You know?
Well, that was Eduardo Sanchez, right, who did Exist. So we know he's a fucking awesome filmmaker. But the other thing, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but the one thing they did, which was really cool too, which I don't think they've done before or since, maybe they have, I don't know, but is the actors that they had didn't know was going to happen from day to day.
Oh, okay.
They just had tubes with their kind of things they had to follow for that day.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I mean, even the actors didn't really know what was going on.
No preparation. They just had to
I mean, it was
kind
amazing.
of guerrilla movie making.
Like it's a one-time deal too.
Yeah,
though, right?
absolutely. And I mean, there was no special effects. You know what I mean? But the ending, it just, you watch it now on TV and you're like, whatever. You know what I mean? But back when it first came out, man, I had fucking goosebumps, and your ex was hyperventilating.
Yeah.
And fuck, I was freaked out. So, but
one that got me, and this was so I started with childhood. Now, one in my high school years, probably 16 maybe, and rented this movie on the old VHS. Didn't know what it was. They're just like, oh, I like the cover. We'll get this.
Yep.
As you'd usually do back before the days of the internet and Google and all this stuff, where you look it up and find out that nobody liked this movie and it was crap, so you didn't bother renting it.
Mm-hmm.
You just rented it by the cover. So get this movie home, watching it with my girlfriend, and it was the first time that I can remember in my sort of teenage mid years that I was kind of like, whoo. Big drum roll for this one. It was the original Evil Dead.
Oh shit!
It scared me.
God, yeah.
Well.
Yeah.
And I love that movie till still today.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't scare me, right? Because you get a certain amount of desensitization after hundreds of thousands of hours of watching these sorts of movies. But I had never seen such a bloody thing. I like the fact of the possession. Someone's in my fruit cellar.
Oh yeah.
You know, Henrietta there, or whatever her name was, Henrietta. But whatever they did with that low budget and all the blood that they put in there.
Are you talking about Evil Dead or Evil Dead 2?
The original.
The original.
The original.
Okay.
Yeah, that movie freaked me out too.
Yeah, because it was a low budget horror.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then they redid Evil Dead 2, which was almost the same thing, but they went in a little bit of a different direction, which I still really loved, but it wasn't like the Evil Dead.
Yeah.
It lived up to his name in my books, anyways. And I think if you showed that original one to somebody who hasn't watched a lot of horror, maybe younger, it would probably freak him out.
Mm-hmm.
The settings were perfect. Cabin in the Woods, classic.
That movie was fucking great.
Now
that movie didn't scare me,
no.
but if there was ever a flip flop of a movie from going from a ho hum, what the fuck am I even doing here, to like, oh my god, that was fucking awesome. Like the halfway through the second act and the whole third act, it was crazy. Like that is a fucking great movie. So we need more of those. I was just looking up here. One of the movies, it didn't really scare me, but there was a scene that really sat with me at the end, and I think this is it. It's the Raven, not the original one, or I think it's or maybe it is the original one with Boris Karloff. No, it's the one with Vincent Price and Boris Karloff and Peter Lorre.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to look up so I could remember Peter Lorre's name, because Jack Nicholson is in it too, and I think that was one of his first movies. I think so. But there's a scene at the very end, and again, it's been years since I've seen it, but I always think about it. It just kind of pops into my head, and I can't remember who's chained up, but I think is it Jack Nicholson or Boris Karloff? And then it doesn't show it, but it shows the shadow, and he starts to slice his skin off. You know what I mean? Like, it's been so long since that was a Superhost movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I remember when I was a kid watching that movie, because I love Vincent Price. He's fucking amazing. But and Boris Karloff, it's all good. But that scene at the very end of the movie where whoever is chained up, and I think it's Boris Karloff, comes and he's got like a little scalpel, and then he starts to not kill him, but just peel his skin off, but they don't show it. And then, like, when you're a kid and you see, scenes like that, it just sits with you for a lifetime. And I don't even own that movie, which sucks, because that was one of my favorite movies, my favorite Superhost movies.
I got to mention one that is from the early part of the 2000s, which stands out. It's one of my favorite sort of possession movies, and it's I remember seeing it and just going, wow, like being pretty freaked out, because it's based on a true story, and you can read about it. Mm-hmm. It's The Exorcism of Emily Rose.
Fuck.
So, I mean, The Exorcism of Emily Rose, the thing about that movie is, I'm not sure the name of the actress, but she's from Dexter. She plays Dexter's sister in the series. I can't remember her name.
Well, look it up.
But she does a stellar performance in that movie. Like,
yeah.
and it's like there's the scenes where, she's going to school and she's got that boyfriend, and he wakes up at night, and because he's trying to console her, once the demonic forces are trying to get into her, he's trying to console her, and then he wakes up at about 3 a.m. and she's on the ground, like, all twisted backwards, and her eyes are up in her head looking at it, and he's like, oh! Like, I mean, I'm breaking out goosebumps just thinking about that scene,
Yeah, that scene really sticks with you.
Yeah, there's a lot of scenes like that in that movie that are where just really well done. And I think it was, like I say, I think it was her performance that was so over the top. That
Laura Linney.
Laura Linney,
Yeah.
like she did an amazing job.
Oh
She,
my
like,
God, yeah.
you know,
It's so
that.
funny you say that too, because I'm not even making this up, just to kind of add to it. 2 nights ago, I was watching in my bed watching Netflix, and I usually put a movie on, and I was flipping.
It's on there.
and it's on there, and I was like, "Fuck no, just keep flipping." I'm not watching that before I go to fucking bed. It's like even the fucking poster for the movie is fucking freaky.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I was like, yeah, that movie was fucking awesome.
It had for something that was a true story. I mean, it had a great story, like
Yeah.
you know, her seeing the Virgin Mary and deciding to stay in her body and all that kind of stuff. Like, you know, it was just wow. It was just really a good movie, done really well, in kind of a period of time where there hadn't been a really good one for a long time. You know, like for that genre, I guess. But that was one that definitely sticks with me. Sorry for the interruption there.
Sorry.
Yeah, so we were talking about Emily Rose, but that was one that scared the fuck out of me. So
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I was 34 at the time.
Yeah. Well, hey, I can't watch it even fucking now by myself. Well, I can, but it's just not a movie I want to go to bed to. So, but yeah, I don't know. I think this is definitely a topic for we can do like a part 2 and part 3 on this. So, because there's a lot of movies that we could talk about. So, but I think we're in the 30-minute mark.
Are we?
Yeah.
All right.
So we should probably wrap it up.
All right then.
But yeah, anyways, okay, so that's our, I guess, part 1 of the movies that kind of scared us when we were kids and nowadays. But you know, leave comments down below for movies that scared you. And I mean, again, this isn't the only movies. I mean, there's a shitload.
There's
of
way
movies.
more we could talk.
Yeah,
we could talk
but
for an hour.
We could talk for yeah, exactly. So we'll do more episodes on this because there's a lot of other movies we should touch on that really touched us, I guess, when we were kids and even recently. So
I can think of 5 more right now.
yeah. So anyways, okay. Well, that's it for this episode. Yeah. Just again, I say this every time. Thanks to all the new subscribers. We are almost at 600 subs now, so that's awesome. There seems to be a flux of subscribers in the last like 3 or 4 days, so that was fantastic. I don't know what happened, but it's a beautiful thing. So getting bigger, on that way to 1,000. Slowly on the way to 100 billion. So
The road to 1,000.
We'll be up there with PewDiePie in no time. So, but anyways, okay. Well, yeah. So that's the first part of the movies that scared us, and I know that we will probably all
Find movies that keep us staying scared.
scared.